The night was quiet outside Denver, Colorado. The sky was dark, and the moonlight spread over the long empty road. Michael Carter, a man in his late 30s, was driving home from work. He was tired, his eyes heavy, but something strange caught his attention. A bright streak of light cut across the sky. At first, he thought it was a shooting star. But then the light grew bigger, brighter, and faster. The ground shook as something crashed deep into the forest near the road. Birds flew out of the trees, and the air smelled of smoke and burning metal. Michael slammed the brakes and pulled over. His heart raced. Curiosity pushed him forward. He grabbed his flashlight from the car and stepped into the woods. The night was silent again, too silent, as if the forest was holding its breath. After a short walk, he saw it. A glowing pod, half buried in the dirt, smoke rising into the air. The metal was strange, smooth, and shining with a silver-blue glow. It didn't look like anything built by humans. Michael stood frozen, his mind racing. Should he call the police? Should he run? But something inside told him to move closer. The pod hissed and opened. A soft light spilled out. Inside, there was not fire or danger, but something unexpected, something that made Michael's chest tighten. A child. The boy looked no older than 7 or 8. His skin was pale, his hair dark and soft. But his eyes were silver, glowing faintly like liquid metal. He looked almost human, but not quite. The child blinked at Michael, calm and curious, not afraid. Then, in a quiet voice, he spoke. His words were broken but clear enough. "Are you, my father?" Michael's mouth went dry. He took a step back, his flashlight shaking in his hand. What did you just say?" he whispered. The child repeated, louder this time, his silver eyes locked on Michael. "Are you my father?" Michael felt his heart pound harder. The forest, the night, the strange crash, all of it faded. Only the boy's question remained. He couldn't answer. He couldn't move. The boy reached out his small hand, as if waiting for Michael to take it. Michael hesitated. Something deep inside him said this was not an ordinary moment. This was something bigger, something that would change everything. Suddenly, loud sounds broke the silence. Sirens. Vehicles. Helicopters above. The government was already here. Bright spotlights cut through the trees, and armed soldiers rushed toward the glowing pod. Scientists in white suits followed, carrying strange equipment. Michael stepped back, unsure if he should run or stay. The boy didn't look at the soldiers. His silver eyes stayed fixed on Michael. He asked again, softer this time, almost like a plea. "Are you my father?" The soldiers shouted. "Step away. Step away from the subject." Michael raised his hands, confused, scared. But inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that the child was speaking directly to him. Not to anyone else. Just to him. The boy's hand was still out. Still waiting. Soldiers pulled Michael away roughly. He shouted, "He's just a kid." But they didn't listen. They surrounded the pod, surrounding the child. The boy didn't fight. He didn't cry. He only repeated the same question over and over, his strange voice echoing through the forest. "Are you my father? Are you my father? Are you my father?" The soldiers looked nervous. The scientists whispered to each other. They had never seen anything like this. A child from the stars, asking a question no one could answer. Michael watched, helpless, as they carried the boy toward their trucks. But the boy's silver eyes never left him. Even as the distance grew, even as the soldiers pulled him farther away, the boy kept asking with his eyes. Michael knew, deep in his heart, that this was not the end. This was only the beginning. And for the first time in his life, Michael Carter felt that his world, his entire understanding of life, was about to change forever. The boy had come from the stars, but he carried a human question. A question so simple, yet so powerful, it sent chills down Michael's spine. Are you my father? The night in Denver was no longer quiet. It was the night humanity met the child who came from beyond the sky. The convoy of black trucks moved quickly through the dark Colorado roads. Helicopters circled above, their lights sweeping across the ground. Inside one of the trucks, the strange boy sat quietly, his silver eyes watching everyone. Michael Carter sat in a separate vehicle, hands shaking. He had been forced to ride with two soldiers who kept their rifles across their laps. He tried to speak, but no one answered him. His mind kept replaying the boy's words. Are you my father? It was not just the words. It was the way the boy said them, with innocence, but also with something deeper. Something Michael couldn't explain. The convoy reached a hidden government facility. It was underground, built into the side of a mountain. Huge steel doors opened, and the trucks drove inside. Michael was pushed out of the vehicle and taken through security checks. Inside the main chamber, the boy was already sitting on a metal chair under bright lights. Scientists in white coats surrounded him, taking notes, checking equipment, speaking in quick whispers. The boy stayed calm. His eyes moved slowly from face to face. Then, in the same clear voice, he asked again. Are you my father? The scientists froze. Some laughed nervously, others looked uncomfortable. One of them, a tall woman named Dr. Sarah Mitchell, spoke softly. No, child. We are not your parents. We want to help you. But the boy only repeated the same words. He pointed at her, then the soldiers, then the other scientists. Are you my father? Are you my father? Are you my father? Dr. Mitchell frowned. Why does he keep asking that? Another scientist replied, it's possible the phrase is all he knows in English. Maybe it's a learned signal. No, Dr. Mitchell said firmly. Look at him. He's not just repeating. He's asking. He wants an answer. Michael watched from behind a glass window. Guards kept him away, but his eyes never left the boy. He felt a strange pull, like an invisible thread tying him to the child. The boy's silver eyes found him again. Even through the thick glass, Michael could feel the weight of the stare. The boy didn't look at the soldiers. He didn't look at the scientists. He looked only at Michael. And once again, he asked, softer this time. Are you my father? Michael's chest tightened. He pressed his hands against the glass. I don't know, he whispered, his voice shaking. The guards noticed and pulled him back. You're not supposed to speak, one barked. But Michael's words had reached the boy. For the first time, the child's face changed. He tilted his head, as if he understood something. Later, the scientists took samples. Blood, hair, saliva. When they looked at the results, the entire room fell silent. Human. The child's DNA was almost completely human, 90%. The other 10% was something else, something no one could identify. A code written in strands of life that didn't match any Earth species. It's impossible, one scientist whispered. He's one of us. And something more. Dr. Mitchell turned toward the director of the facility, Colonel Harris. Sir, this changes everything. This child is not a threat. He might be, the bridge between us and them. Colonel Harris crossed his arms. Bridge or weapon, Doctor? We'll decide that later. For now, keep him contained. Word of the discovery spread through secret channels. High-ranking officials argued behind closed doors. Was the boy an alien experiment? A messenger? Or a trap? Meanwhile, the media learned about the crash. News channels spoke about a mysterious event in the Colorado forest. People posted shaky videos online of helicopters and lights in the sky. Rumors exploded: UFOs, government cover UPS, alien invasion. But the boy didn't care about the noise. Inside his small room in the facility, he sat quietly, drawing on the walls with chalk they gave him. His drawings were strange stars, symbols, planets. None of the scientists understood them. When Dr. Mitchell asked him what they meant, he only gave the same reply. "Are you my father?" Michael couldn't sleep. He was allowed to stay in the facility for questioning, but he felt more like a prisoner. His thoughts burned inside him. Why did the boy keep looking at him? Out of all the people there, soldiers, doctors, scientists, why only him? The boy didn't trust anyone else. But when Michael came close, his silver eyes softened, almost like recognition. Michael sat alone in his small room, whispering to himself. Why me? Why is he asking me that? But deep down, he already knew this was not a coincidence. This boy was connected to him somehow. And Michael was beginning to fear the answer. The next morning, alarms blared across the facility. Guards rushed through the halls. Michael was dragged out of his room by soldiers. "What's happening?" he shouted. No one answered. He was thrown against the wall near the observation window. Inside the boy's chamber, the scientists were panicking. Their computers glowed with strange signals. The boy stood in the middle of the room. His silver eyes glowed brighter, brighter than ever before. And then, for the first time, his voice shook the entire building. "Are you my father?" The lights flickered. The walls trembled. Equipment exploded. Michael gasped. The boy wasn't just asking anymore. He was calling. Calling for someone. The facility was silent after the event. Broken lights sparked in the hallways. Computers smoked. Soldiers whispered nervously, avoiding eye contact with one another. The boy had gone still again, sitting on the cold floor of his room as if nothing had happened. But Michael Carter could not forget what he had seen. The boy's voice, the power in his words, had shaken the entire building. He was not just a child. He was something more. Yet when Michael looked into those silver eyes, he didn't see danger. He saw loneliness. That night, Colonel Harris ordered the boy to be kept under heavy guard. "He's a threat," the colonel said firmly during a meeting. "A weapon we don't understand. No one goes near him without clearance." Dr. Sarah Mitchell argued back. "He's not dangerous by nature. He's confused, scared. He needs someone to guide him." Harris cut her off. "This is not a daycare, doctor. This is a military facility. We're not here to play family with aliens." But Michael's mind was already made up. He couldn't walk away. Not after the boy had looked at him like that. Later, when the soldiers changed shifts, Michael found his chance. He slipped into the observation chamber. The boy was sitting in the corner, knees pulled close to his chest, staring at the wall where he had drawn stars with chalk. Michael stepped closer, slowly, his voice gentle. "Hey, it's me. Do you remember?" The boy turned. His silver eyes softened. He didn't shout this time. He didn't shake the room. He simply asked, in a quiet voice, "Are you my father?" Michael knelt down, close to the glass barrier. His heart ached. He wanted to say yes, but the truth weighed heavy. "I don't know," he whispered. "Maybe not. But I can be here for you." For the first time, the boy's lips curved into something small but clear, a smile. Dr. Mitchell entered the chamber quietly behind Michael. Instead of stopping him, she watched for a moment. Then she spoke. "He trusts you." Michael looked at her, surprised. "Why me?" "Maybe he feels something you don't understand yet," she said. "Children can sense things adults can't." Maybe you're the only one who feels familiar to him. Michael looked back at the boy. He deserves more than this. He's not a science project. Dr. Mitchell nodded slowly. Then help me. If we can calm him, we can prove he's not a threat. The next day, the scientists tried something new. Instead of endless tests, they gave the boy simple items: paper, crayons, a small ball. At first, he ignored them. But when Michael entered the room under Mitchell's supervision, the boy picked up the ball and rolled it toward him. Michael caught it and rolled it back. The boy laughed softly, a sound like music in the silent room. It was the first time anyone had heard him make a sound other than his question. The bond was growing. Dr. Mitchell decided the boy needed a name. We can't keep calling him the subject, she said. The team suggested names. But when Mitchell said the word Eli, the boy's head lifted. His eyes shone brighter. Eli, he repeated, testing the sound. His voice was clear, almost perfect. Eli. Michael smiled. Eli. That's you. From that moment, the boy accepted the name. But still, his question did not stop. Are you my father? He asked Michael again and again, even while they played, even while he smiled. Michael's answer never changed. I don't know. But I'll take care of you. And somehow, that seemed enough for Eli. Days passed. Eli began to show more signs of intelligence far beyond his age. He solved puzzles in minutes, learned English words with incredible speed, and memorized entire books after one reading. But he never showed aggression. His powers, the energy in his voice, remained hidden unless he asked the question with great force. Michael grew attached. At night, he lay awake in his room, thinking about Eli. He wondered what kind of life the boy deserved. A child who wasn't fully human, yet not fully alien. A child who only wanted to know where he came from. Michael whispered to himself, what if he really is mine? The thought scared him, but also gave him hope. One evening, Eli was drawing again. This time, his chalk marks weren't stars. They were lines, circles, and strange shapes that looked like maps. Michael leaned closer. What are those, Eli? Eli pointed at the drawings. Home. Michael frowned. Your home. Eli nodded. His silver eyes shimmered. But, Father is here. He touched his small hand against Michael's chest. Michael's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. Before he could speak, alarms blared again. Soldiers stormed in, shouting. Colonel Harris's voice roared, Carter. Step away from the subject. Michael shielded Eli instinctively. He's not a threat. But Harris raised his gun. He's not a child, Carter. He's an unknown entity. And I won't risk this facility for your feelings. Eli's silver eyes glowed brighter as fear spread across his face. He clutched Michael's arm and whispered again. Are you my father? Michael pulled him close. His voice broke as he shouted back at the soldiers. I may not know if I'm his father, but I'm not letting you treat him like a monster. The standoff had begun. The standoff inside the facility grew tense. Colonel Harris stood firm, his weapon aimed, while Michael shielded Eli with his body. The boy's silver eyes glowed brighter with every second, and the air felt heavy, almost electric. Dr. Sarah Mitchell rushed between them. Stop. All of you, she shouted. If you push him, if you scare him, you'll trigger something none of us can control. The colonel lowered his weapon slightly, but his eyes stayed cold. This is not a child. It's a ticking bomb. You're too blind to see it, Carter. Michael's voice was sharp. No, Colonel. You're too blind to see what he really is, a child looking for answers. For a long moment, the only sound was Eli's quiet breathing. Then, slowly, his glow faded, and the air became calm again. He leaned against Michael, clutching his arm like a frightened son. The colonel finally lowered his gun. Fine. But this doesn't change protocol. He stays under lock and key. He stormed out, leaving silence behind. That night, Michael was summoned to a private room by Dr. Mitchell. Files and old photographs lay scattered across a table. Her expression was heavy. "There's something you need to see," she said. Michael sat down, confused. "What is all this?" She slid a folder toward him. "Project Genesis. A classified program that started 30 years ago. Few people know about it, even today." Michael opened the folder. Inside were documents stamped top secret, filled with genetic codes, charts, and handwritten notes. Mitchell explained, in 1994, the government recovered samples from a spacecraft fragment found on the far side of the moon. Not a whole ship, just pieces. Inside those pieces was something extraordinary: alien DNA. Michael's chest tightened. Alien DNA? You're saying? Yes, Mitchell cut in. Project Genesis was built to test what would happen if that alien DNA was merged with human DNA. The idea was to create a hybrid. Something that could survive in both worlds. Something that could be a bridge between species or a weapon. Michael stared at her, disbelief in his eyes. "And Eli?" Mitchell nodded slowly. "Eli is the result." Michael's hands shook as he flipped through the pages. Then he froze. A photograph fell out, a picture of scientists standing together in a lab. His breath caught in his throat. One of the men in the photo was his brother. Dr. Daniel Carter. Michael's voice cracked. This can't be real." Mitchell looked at him carefully. "Your brother worked on Project Genesis. He was one of the lead geneticists. From the records, it seems he might have provided the human DNA for the experiment." Michael's mind spun. His brother had died years ago in what was reported as a lab accident. But now, the truth hit him like a storm. "Daniel," he whispered. "Was Eli his?" Mitchell's voice softened. "It's possible. If your brother provided the DNA, then Eli may share your bloodline. He may not be your son, Michael. But he could be your family." Michael's thoughts raced back to Eli's question. "Are you my father?" No wonder the boy kept looking at him. No wonder there was a connection he couldn't explain. Maybe Eli wasn't asking by mistake. Maybe some part of him already knew. Michael rubbed his face, struggling to breathe. "My God, this boy, he's my brother's child." Mitchell placed a hand on his shoulder. "Not in the traditional sense. But yes, he's connected to you." Michael shook his head. "And the colonel wants to use him as a weapon. That's what Project Genesis was about, wasn't it?" Mitchell's silence was the only answer he needed. Later, back in his room, Michael couldn't sleep. He thought of his brother. Daniel had always believed science could help humanity. But had he known what his work would create? Had he wanted Eli to exist? Michael whispered to the dark ceiling. "Daniel, did you know what they would do to him?" He thought of Eli's small hand, his glowing eyes, his soft smile. A child born not by choice, but by experiment. Yet a child who still longed for something so human, so simple: family. The next day, Michael returned to Eli's chamber. The boy sat waiting, drawing on the wall again. This time the shapes were different: strange spirals, waves, and a symbol that looked like two suns above a planet. Michael knelt down. "What are you drawing, Eli?" Eli pointed to the symbols. "Father. He is there." Michael's chest ached. He wanted to tell Eli the truth, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he whispered, "You are not alone. I'm here." Eli's silver eyes glowed faintly, and he leaned closer to Michael, resting his small head against his shoulder. For the first time, Michael felt the weight of responsibility. This child was not just a mystery, not just a question for science or government. Eli was family. And family, no matter how strange, deserved to be protected. But Michael also knew one thing. If the world discovered the truth about Project Genesis, about Eli's origins, then soldiers, governments, and even entire nations would fight to control him. The boy wasn't just asking one man a question. He was asking all of humanity. And the world wasn't ready for the answer. The nights inside the facility grew longer. Soldiers marched in the halls, and cameras watched every corner, but the world inside Eli's room was different. The boy spent hours sitting with his chalk, filling the walls with strange drawings. Michael visited him whenever he was allowed. Sometimes Eli laughed softly when Michael tossed him the ball. Sometimes he sat quietly, just staring. But most nights, the boy woke from sleep, his silver eyes glowing brighter than usual. He had dreams. One night, Michael entered the room and found Eli trembling on the floor. Chalk dust covered his hands. On the wall behind him were fresh drawings, shapes of stars, circles, and lines that looked like paths across the universe. Michael knelt beside him. "Eli, what's wrong?" The boy looked up, tears shining in his glowing eyes. His voice was small, broken. "Home," he whispered. Michael frowned. "Home? You mean, not Earth?" Eli shook his head slowly. He pointed at the drawings. Two suns above a blue planet, painted with wide strokes of chalk. Around it, he had drawn moons and strange symbols that looked like a map. Michael's heart pounded. "Is this where you came from?" Eli's lips trembled. "Father, there." He pointed at the blue planet. "He waits." Michael sat in silence, staring at the wall. A world with two suns, something no human had ever seen. The boy's dreams weren't just imagination. They were memories. Dr. Sarah Mitchell entered the room quietly. She froze when she saw the drawings. "Oh my God," she whispered. "These aren't random symbols. These are coordinates." Michael turned to her, confused. "Coordinates? You mean?" "Yes," she said quickly. "Star maps. If I'm right, this could lead us to the system he came from." Michael looked back at Eli, who was now curled up against the wall, exhausted from his dream. He brushed the boy's hair gently. "He's remembering his father," Michael said softly. Mitchell nodded. "Or calling for him." The next morning, scientists gathered around the drawings. They photographed every symbol, every line. Some argued it was nonsense. Others whispered that it was proof of another world. Colonel Harris dismissed them. "We don't chase fairy tales. This is a military matter, not a bedtime story. Lock it down." But the scientists knew better. And Michael knew better. Eli's drawings carried meaning. His dreams weren't just his own, they were messages. That night, Michael stayed longer. He sat on the floor beside Eli. The boy was quiet, his small fingers tracing one of the suns in chalk. Michael asked gently, "Eli, why do you think I'm your father?" The boy turned his glowing eyes toward him. "Because I feel you. Like light." He touched his chest. "Inside." Michael's throat tightened. The words were simple, but they carried a weight heavier than any test or file. He whispered, "Eli, I may not be your father, but I will protect you. Always." Eli gave a faint smile. He leaned against Michael's shoulder and closed his eyes. For the first time, Michael felt something strange inside him too. Not just responsibility. Not just guilt. A bond. But Eli's dreams didn't stop. Each night, they grew stronger, more vivid. He spoke words no one understood, in a language that wasn't human. He woke up screaming sometimes, shouting "Father," so loud the entire facility shook. Michael stayed with him through it all, holding his hand, calming him down. But deep down, fear grew. If Eli's father was out there, then one day he might come. And Michael wasn't sure if Earth was ready for that. A week later, Dr. Mitchell brought Michael into her lab. She closed the door behind them, her voice low. "I've run simulations using the symbols Eli drew. Michael, these are not random. They match a star system recorded by NASA decades ago, an unexplored system far beyond human reach. And there is indeed a planet that orbits two suns." Michael's heart sank. So it's real. His dreams, they're real. Mitchell nodded gravely. Yes. Which means his father may not be a fantasy. He could be alive, waiting or searching. Michael thought of Eli's small voice asking, "Are you my father?" He thought of the boy's smile, his touch, his fragile trust. If Eli's father ever arrived, would he take him away? Would Michael lose him? That evening, Michael found Eli awake, sitting at the window of his room. The boy was staring at the night sky through the bars, his silver eyes glowing faintly. Michael sat beside him. "Looking for him again?" Eli nodded. "Father will come." "I know." Michael swallowed hard. He wanted to smile, to give the boy hope. But all he could whisper was, "If he does. I hope he deserves you." The boy leaned against him again, closing his eyes. Michael held him close, but his thoughts were heavy. Somewhere out there, under two suns, a father might be waiting. Or worse, coming. And Michael wasn't sure if the boy's dreams were a blessing, or a warning. The facility grew restless. Every day, Eli's drawings covered more of the walls. Every night, his dreams shook the building. The scientists were fascinated. Dr. Sarah Mitchell believed he was a living map to another world. But Colonel Harris saw only danger. Behind closed doors, he spoke with men in dark suits, people Michael had never seen before. They weren't military. They weren't scientists. They were something else. Their whispers carried words like containment, transfer, and weaponization. Michael knew what that meant. They were planning to take Eli away. Late one night, Michael was woken by alarms. Red lights flashed across the facility. Soldiers shouted down the halls. He rushed toward Eli's room, his heart pounding. When he arrived, the door was already broken. Inside, two masked men in black gear were dragging Eli out. The boy struggled, his silver eyes glowing in panic. Michael shouted, "Stop! He's just a child." One of the men turned, raising a weapon. Michael ducked as a bullet tore through the wall behind him. He grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung with desperate strength, striking the man's arm. The gun clattered to the ground. "Run, Eli!" Michael shouted. But Eli didn't run. Instead, his glow intensified. His small body shook, and with a cry, he screamed, "No!" A wave of invisible force blasted out from him. The masked men flew back against the wall, their weapons snapping in half like toys. Lights burst overhead. The ground trembled. Michael froze, his eyes wide. Eli had unleashed his power again, but this time, it was controlled. The boy ran straight into Michael's arms, trembling. "Father," he whispered. Michael held him close. "I've got you. I'm not letting them take you." They ran through the halls. Alarms blared, doors slammed shut. Soldiers rushed toward them. Michael pulled Eli behind him, dodging gunfire as bullets sparked against the walls. Dr. Mitchell appeared suddenly at the end of the hall. "This way," she yelled. She led them through service tunnels beneath the facility. The walls dripped with moisture, and pipes rattled above their heads. Eli clutched Michael's hand tightly, his silver eyes glowing just enough to light the path. Behind them, heavy boots pounded closer. The secret group wasn't giving up. They reached a steel door that led outside to the forest. Mitchell keyed in a code, her hands shaking. Go. I'll hold them off. Michael grabbed her arm. No, you're coming with us. She shook her head. They'll hunt me no matter what. You need to protect him. Get him away from here. Michael's voice broke. But. She pushed him toward the door. Go. Before it's too late. With Eli in his arms, Michael ran into the night. Cold air hit his face. The forest stretched before them, dark and endless. The chase didn't end. Black vehicles roared into the woods, their headlights cutting through the trees. Helicopters circled overhead, sweeping the ground with spotlights. Michael carried Eli, his legs burning with exhaustion. Hold on, kid. We're almost safe. Eli looked up at him, his voice trembling. They want me, because I'm different. Michael gritted his teeth. They want you because they're afraid of what they don't understand. But you're not a weapon. You're a child. And I won't let them treat you like one. Suddenly, a truck skidded across the dirt road ahead, blocking their path. Soldiers poured out, weapons raised. Michael turned to run back, but more soldiers closed in behind them. They were trapped. Eli's silver eyes glowed brighter than ever. His body pulsed with light, and the ground beneath them began to shake. The soldiers hesitated, fear flashing in their eyes. Michael knelt beside him. Eli, listen to me. Don't let anger control you. You're more than that. You're not their weapon, you're my family. Eli trembled, his glow flickering like fire. But, they'll take me. Michael put his hands on the boy's shoulders. Not while I'm here. Do you trust me? For a moment, Eli was silent. Then he nodded slowly. Yes. Father. Michael's heart ached at the word, but he didn't correct him. Not now. Eli raised his small hands. The glow around him spread into a shimmering barrier. Bullets fired, but every round stopped in midair, hanging like frozen sparks of metal. The soldiers panicked, shouting orders. With a wave of his hand, Eli sent the bullets crashing harmlessly to the ground. The barrier expanded, knocking soldiers back without harming them. The forest went still. Only Eli's glow remained, shining like a star in the darkness. Michael stared in awe. This was no ordinary child. He was something beyond imagination, yet still, at his core, just a boy asking for love. In the chaos, Michael spotted an opening through the trees. He lifted Eli into his arms. Come on, we're getting out of here. They vanished into the forest, leaving behind soldiers too stunned to follow. For the first time, Michael felt real hope. Eli wasn't just surviving, he was fighting back. But deep inside, Michael knew the truth. The question Eli kept asking wasn't just for him anymore. It was a question for the whole world. Are you my father? And soon, humanity would have to answer. The forest was quiet again, but Michael's heart still pounded like thunder. He and Eli had escaped for now. The soldiers were scattered, too afraid to push against the boy's strange power. Still, Michael knew it was only a matter of time before they came again. They found shelter in an old hunting cabin, abandoned long ago. Dust covered the wooden floor, and broken windows let the cold air inside. Michael laid Eli on a small cot. The boy's silver glow dimmed as exhaustion pulled at him. Michael brushed Eli's hair gently. You did good, kid. You were brave. Eli's eyes fluttered open. Father, he whispered weakly. Michael's chest tightened. He wanted to say yes, but the truth stayed heavy inside him. He couldn't lie to the boy, not forever. That night, as Michael watched Eli sleep, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Somehow, she had managed to reach him. They'll never stop. You need to know the truth. Check the files. Project Genesis. Daniel Carter. Michael's blood ran cold. His brother's name again. He opened the attachment. A flood of secret files filled the screen: classified reports, genetic charts, and scanned pages of old journals. Michael read in silence, the weight of every word pressing down on him. 30 years ago, Project Genesis had begun in secrecy. The documents told the story clearly. A spacecraft fragment found near the moon contained alien DNA. Scientists merged that DNA with human samples, hoping to create a hybrid. Michael's brother, Dr. Daniel Carter, was not only part of the project, he was the lead. His notes appeared on nearly every page. Michael's hands trembled as he read. Daniel had written, "Humanity is not ready, but perhaps one day it must face what comes. The child will be the key." The reports confirmed it. Daniel had provided the human DNA for the experiment. He had believed the hybrid could be a bridge between species. A hope for peace. But then, one note struck Michael's heart like a blade. "If anything happens to me, I hope my brother will find the boy. He will protect him." Michael dropped the phone. His throat closed. His brother had known. Daniel had trusted him even beyond death. The next morning, Eli woke with a soft smile. "Father," he whispered again. Michael knelt beside him. His voice broke as he said, "Eli, listen to me. I'm not your father. Your real father was my brother, Daniel. He's gone now. But that makes you, my family." The boy tilted his head, trying to understand. His silver eyes filled with tears. "Family?" he asked softly. Michael nodded, tears burning his own eyes. "Yes. You're my family. And I won't let anyone hurt you." Eli reached out with small hands and hugged him. For the first time, he didn't ask the question again. He simply said, "Then I am not alone." But outside, the world was changing fast. The leaked files spread across secret networks, then to the public. News outlets exploded with the story. Government experiment creates alien human child. Project Genesis, the hybrid truth. Dr. Daniel Carter, the man behind the secret. Conspiracy theories filled the internet. Some people called Eli a miracle. Others called him an abomination. Protesters gathered outside military bases, demanding answers. Entire nations debated whether Eli was hope or a threat. The question had gone global. Inside the cabin, Michael turned on a small radio. He listened as reporters shouted over each other. Some claim the hybrid child could be the key to human survival. Others demand he be destroyed before his creator's return. Michael shut it off, anger burning inside him. "They don't even know him," he muttered. "They talk about him like he's a weapon, not a boy." Eli sat beside him, quietly drawing in the dust with his finger. When Michael looked down, his breath caught. The boy had drawn two sons again, but this time, he added something new. A small figure, standing between them. Michael whispered, "That's you, isn't it? Between two worlds." Eli nodded slowly. "But father, you are here. You are with me." Michael pulled him close. "Always, Eli. Always." Far away, Colonel Harris watched the news with fury. The leak had ruined everything. Now the whole world knew. He stood in a war room, speaking to men in suits. "The child cannot be allowed to walk free," he said coldly. "If other governments get to him first, they'll use him. We must act now." The men nodded. Orders were given. The hunt for Eli Carter was about to begin on a scale far greater than before. That night, Michael looked at Eli sleeping peacefully in the cabin. He thought of his brother's words. He will protect him. Michael clenched his fists. "I will, Daniel. I promise. No matter what it costs." But outside the cabin, a red laser dot appeared on the window frame. Somewhere in the darkness, eyes were watching. The chase wasn't over. It was only beginning. The cabin was cold, the wind howling through cracks in the wooden walls. Michael sat awake, a rifle he had stolen from the facility resting across his lap. Eli slept nearby, curled under a blanket that looked too big for his small frame. Michael's eyes were heavy, but his mind would not rest. The files still haunted him, his brother Daniel's words, the truth about Project Genesis, and the burden that had now fallen on him. If anything happens to me, my brother will find the boy. He will protect him. Michael whispered to the darkness, "Daniel, why me?" The next morning, Eli stirred awake. His silver eyes blinked against the faint sunlight pushing through broken shutters. He yawned softly, then sat up, looking at Michael. "Father," he said with a tired smile. Michael froze. He wanted to accept the word. It felt right every time Eli said it. But the truth weighed on him. He knelt beside the boy. "Eli, I need you to understand something. I'm not your father." The boy tilted his head, confused. "But, you protect me. You stay with me. You care." Michael's throat tightened. "I do. More than anything. But your real father was my brother Daniel. That makes me your uncle." Eli was silent. He looked down at his hands, then back at Michael. His voice was small. "Uncle." Michael nodded slowly. "Yes. That's family too. It means I still belong to you, and you belong to me." The boy thought about the word carefully, repeating it under his breath. "Uncle." Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. He threw his arms around Michael's neck, hugging him tightly. "Then you are my family," he whispered. Michael held him close, tears burning his eyes. For the first time, Eli didn't ask the question again. He didn't say, "Are you my father?" He didn't need to. The bond between them had grown stronger, no matter what the truth was. But peace never lasted. That night, Michael heard movement outside. He grabbed the rifle and peeked through the window. Red lights blinked in the distance. Vehicles. Soldiers. The cabin had been found. Michael cursed under his breath. "We need to move." Eli's silver eyes widened with fear. He clung to Michael's arm. "They want me again." Michael nodded. "And they'll never stop. But we won't let them take you." They slipped out the back, moving into the dense forest. Snow crunched under their boots. The cold bit at their skin, but adrenaline kept Michael moving. Behind them, soldiers swept the cabin, shouting orders. Searchlights cut through the trees. Hours passed as they pushed deeper into the woods. Finally, they found shelter in a cave hidden by thick brush. Michael built a small fire, its glow barely enough to fight the cold. Eli sat beside him, staring into the flames. "Why do they hate me?" he asked softly. Michael shook his head. "They don't understand you. People fear what they don't know." The boy's eyes shimmered with tears. "But you don't fear me." Michael reached out and ruffled his hair. "No, I never will. Because I see who you really are, not a weapon, not an experiment. Just a boy who deserves to be loved." Eli leaned against him, comforted by the words. For the first time, Michael felt the boy's breathing slow into calm sleep. But outside the cave, the world burned with debate. News channels replayed leaked footage of Eli's powers, bullets frozen midair, soldiers thrown back by invisible waves. Some called him the miracle child. Others demanded he be destroyed before his alien father arrived. Across the internet, one phrase spread like wildfire. "Are you my father?" It had become more than a question. It was now a symbol. A challenge to humanity itself. The next morning, Michael woke to the sound of Eli whispering in his sleep. The boy muttered words in a strange alien tongue. His silver eyes glowed faintly even while closed. Suddenly, he jolted awake, clutching Michael's arm. "He's coming," Eli whispered. Michael froze. "Who's coming?" The boy's voice shook. "My father. From the stars. He heard me." Michael's blood ran cold. If Eli's father truly was out there, what would he bring? Peace? Or destruction? That evening, as Michael stared at the horizon, he knew one thing with certainty. Father or uncle, it didn't matter anymore. Eli was his family. His responsibility. And Michael would fight the whole world, human or alien, if that's what it took to protect him. But far above the earth, beyond human eyes, something stirred in the darkness of space. A signal had been received. And something was answering the boy's call. Snow fell lightly over the Colorado forest. The fire inside the cave burned low, giving off only a faint glow. Michael sat with Eli tucked close against him, listening to the boy's soft breaths. For a moment, there was peace. But peace never lasted. The silence broke with the distant roar of helicopters. Searchlights swept the forest. Engines growled as armored vehicles moved across the snow. The government had found them again, and this time, they came in full force. Michael shook Eli gently. "Wake up, kid. We have to move." Eli's silver eyes opened, glowing faintly. He clung to Michael's coat. "They're here for me." Michael nodded grimly. "Then they'll have to go through me first." By the time they stepped outside, the cave was already surrounded. Dozens of soldiers pointed rifles at them. Red laser dots danced across Michael's chest. From the front line, Colonel Harris stepped forward, his voice sharp through a megaphone. "Michael Carter. You are harboring a dangerous subject. Step away from the hybrid child and surrender. Now." Michael tightened his grip on Eli's shoulder. His voice rang out over the snow. "He's not a weapon. He's a child. My family." The colonel's jaw tightened. "That thing is not your family. It's a threat to national security. You've been blinded by emotions. Don't make me order fire." Eli pressed against Michael, his small hands trembling. "Uncle," he whispered. Michael bent down and met his silver eyes. "Listen to me, Eli. Whatever happens, you're not alone. I'll protect you." The standoff stretched long and cold. Soldiers' fingers hovered over triggers. Helicopter blades thumped above, ready to strike. Dr. Sarah Mitchell appeared suddenly from behind the soldiers, her voice desperate. "Colonel. Don't do this. The boy isn't dangerous unless you push him. He's more human than alien. He deserves a chance to live." But Harris didn't listen. His voice was flat and final. "Last chance, Carter. Step away from the subject. Or both of you die here." Michael stood tall, pulling Eli behind him. His voice broke but stayed firm. "Then you'll have to kill me first. Because I will never abandon him." For a moment, the forest went silent. Snowflakes fell softly, melting on Michael's face. Then Harris raised his hand. "Fire!" The sound of gunshots exploded through the night. But none of the bullets reached them. Eli's silver glow burst into brilliance. A shield of light surrounded them, humming with energy. Bullets froze midair, spinning like insects caught in amber. Soldiers gasped, stumbling back in shock. Michael turned to Eli. The boy's eyes were brighter than ever, glowing like stars. His voice carried power, trembling with fear and strength. "Stop," Eli whispered. The bullets clattered to the ground. The shield expanded, knocking soldiers off their feet. Vehicles flipped onto their sides. Helicopters above spun out of control, forced back by a wave of invisible force. The forest shook as if the earth itself was answering him. Michael held Eli's shoulders, his voice urgent. Eli. Listen to me. Don't let anger guide you. You're not their weapon. You're more than this. Your family. Eli trembled, tears running down his glowing cheeks. But they want to hurt you. Michael pulled him close. I don't care what they do to me. I just want you to be safe. Promise me you'll stay who you are. Promise me you won't become what they want. The boy clutched Michael's coat, his small voice breaking. I promise. And with that, his glow softened. The shield faded, leaving silence behind. Soldiers lay scattered, stunned but alive. Colonel Harris staggered to his feet, fury burning in his eyes. Do you see now? He shouted to the others. This is why he can't be free. He's a weapon of mass destruction. If we don't control him, the world will fall. Dr. Mitchell stepped forward, her voice shaking with anger. No, Colonel. You're wrong. He's not a weapon. He's a child who just saved your men instead of killing them. If he wanted, none of us would be standing here. The soldiers looked at each other nervously. For the first time, doubt spread among them. Michael stood tall, keeping Eli close at his side. His voice rang clear. You call him a threat, but the real threat is fear. If you treat him like a monster, you'll make him one. But if you give him love, he'll show you who he really is. Not a weapon. Not an alien. A child. The words echoed through the forest. For a moment, even Harris was silent. Eli leaned against Michael, exhausted, his glow fading to a soft shimmer. He whispered, Uncle. I just want to go home. Michael hugged him tightly. We'll find it. I promise. Together. But as the soldiers lowered their weapons uncertainly, something else stirred above. High in the night sky, a strange light appeared. At first, it looked like a star. Then it grew brighter, larger, until the shape of a massive ship blocked the moon. The soldiers froze. Mitchell's breath caught. Michael felt his heart sink. Eli's silver eyes widened. He whispered one word, almost in awe. Father. The forest fell into silence as the enormous ship hovered above the trees. Its metallic surface shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the moonlight. The air vibrated with a low hum, and the snow beneath their feet trembled. Soldiers dropped their weapons, staring at the sky in shock. Even Colonel Harris, always cold and firm, stood frozen. No one had ever seen anything like it. Michael held Eli tightly. The boy's silver eyes glowed brighter than ever. His small chest rose and fell quickly, but his voice was calm. He heard me, Eli whispered. My father heard me. The ship lowered slowly, sending gusts of wind across the forest. Trees bent under the force, snow swirling in every direction. From its center, a beam of light reached the ground. Eli stepped toward it, his small frame illuminated by the glow. Michael grabbed his arm. Wait. We don't know what's up there. Eli turned, his silver eyes soft. He is waiting. I can feel him. Michael's heart pounded. And if it's not your father? What if it's something worse? The boy shook his head. It is him. I know. Colonel Harris regained his voice. Carter. Don't let him step into that beam. We don't know what will happen. He could call an invasion. Dr. Sarah Mitchell snapped back. Or maybe he's calling for peace. Don't you see? If this was an invasion, it would have already begun. This ship isn't here to destroy. It's here for him. The colonel clenched his fists but stayed silent. Even he could feel the weight of the moment. Eli turned to Michael one last time. Come with me. Michael shook his head. No, Eli. This is your choice. But remember, you're not alone anymore. No matter what happens, you're my family. The boy smiled faintly. He took Michael's hand, pressing it against his chest. "And you are mine." Then, with slow steps, he walked into the beam of light. His body shimmered, his silver glow blending with the energy around him. The beam lifted him gently into the air. Michael's throat tightened as he watched. His arms ached to pull Eli back, but his heart told him he couldn't. This was what the boy had been waiting for. The soldiers, the scientists, and Michael all looked up as the beam carried Eli toward the ship. For a moment, time felt frozen. Then, a deep voice echoed not in their ears, but in their minds. "Calm, steady, powerful. My son." Michael's knees went weak. His breath caught. It wasn't English, yet he understood every word. Eli's eyes shone with tears as he whispered back, "Father." The massive ship pulsed with light. A signal spread out from it, racing across the stars. Radios, satellites, and communication towers across Earth lit up with strange transmissions. The entire world could hear it. A single question repeated in every language. "Are you my father?" Billions of people froze as the words echoed through televisions, phones, and radios. Humanity itself was being asked the same question the boy had carried since the night he arrived. Back in the forest, Michael fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the sound. His brother's words returned to him, "The child will be the key." Dr. Mitchell whispered in awe, "It's not just his question. It's the question of his people. They're asking us all." Colonel Harris shouted into his radio, panic in his voice. "Shut it down. Shut it all down. If the world hears this." But it was too late. The signal was everywhere. Humanity could not unhear it. Eli hovered near the ship's open gate, still looking down at Michael. His voice carried softly across the distance. "I will come back. I promise." Michael shouted, his voice breaking, "Eli. You're not alone. Don't forget you have family here." The boy smiled, glowing brighter, and then disappeared into the ship. The beam faded. The ship rose higher into the sky. Soldiers aimed their weapons, but none dared fire. The ship tilted slowly, as if bowing, then vanished into the stars with a burst of light. Silence returned to the forest. Snow fell gently again. But nothing was the same. Michael collapsed to the ground, staring at the sky where Eli had vanished. His chest ached with both pride and loss. Dr. Mitchell placed a hand on his shoulder. "He'll be okay. Wherever he goes, he knows you're with him." Michael whispered, "He called me family." Far above Earth, beyond the reach of human eyes, the signal continued its journey across the stars. Across galaxies, countless civilizations heard the same question. "Are you my father?" And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, something answered back.